Dr. Elena Vasquez rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working for 18 hours straight at the Sol System communication array. The coffee in her cup had gone cold hours ago, but she did not care. Something strange was happening in space, and she needed to figure out what it was. The signal had started 3 days ago. At first, her team thought it was just noise from a distant star. But Elena knew better. She had spent 20 years listening to space, and this was different. The pattern was too clean, too organized to be natural. Someone was trying to talk. "Dr. Vasquez, you should go home and sleep," said Tommy Chen, one of her young assistants. He was fresh out of college and still believed that problems could wait until morning. "No," Elena said without looking away from her screen. "This is important. Look at these numbers." She pointed to the display. Waves of data rolled across the monitor like ocean waves. But hidden in the chaos were small patterns that repeated over and over. Mathematics. Pure, simple mathematics that any smart species would understand. "It's coming from Kepler 442, Elena said. "That's over 1,200 light years away. Someone out there is trying to tell us something." Tommy leaned closer to look. His face changed as he saw what Elena meant. The signal was not random. It was a message. "Have you told the government?" he asked. "Not yet. I want to decode it first. I need to know what they're saying." Elena had built her own translation program years ago. It was designed to find meaning in alien signals by looking for basic math and science concepts. She fed the strange transmission into her computer and waited. Hours passed. Elena's team gathered around her desk as the program worked. Dr. James Wright came in from the night shift. Maria Santos brought fresh coffee from the break room. Everyone felt that something big was happening. Finally, the computer beeped. Text appeared on the screen. Elena's heart nearly stopped when she read the first words. "Help us, please. If anyone can hear this, help us." The room went silent. Elena's hand shook as she scrolled down to read more. The message was long, much longer than she had expected. It told a story that made her feel sick. The beings who sent the signal called themselves the Kailari. They lived on 3 worlds around a star they called Bright Home. For thousands of years they had lived in peace. They built beautiful cities made of crystal and metal. They made art that sang with harmonious sounds. They studied the stars and dreamed of meeting other peaceful species. But 6 months ago, everything changed. Ships appeared in their system. Huge dark ships that blocked out the light from their sun. The newcomers called themselves the Dominion Fleet. They did not come to trade or make friends. They came to conquer. The Kailari tried to talk to them. They offered gifts and friendship. The Dominion's answer was weapons fire. In 3 days, they destroyed every Kailari military ship. In 2 weeks, they bombed cities from orbit. We're hunting down survivors and taking them as slaves. Elena read personal messages from Kailari families. A father saying goodbye to his children before the soldiers came. A teacher recording the history of her people so someone might remember them. A young Kailari who had hidden in the mountains, watching his world burn. "We know no one will come," the message said. "We are too far away, and you have your own problems. But we wanted someone to know we existed. We wanted someone to know we tried to be good. If you are listening to this, please remember the Kailari. Remember that we loved our families, and we loved peace." The message included star charts showing where the Dominion had come from. It had technical data about their ships and weapons. Most importantly, it had a warning. The Dominion did not stop. They moved from system to system, taking everything and destroying what they could not use. They had already killed 47 different species. Elena realized she was crying. She looked around the room and saw that her team was crying too. Tommy was staring at the screen with his mouth open. Dr. Wright was gripping his coffee cup. So hard his knuckles were white. "When was this sent?" Maria asked in a quiet voice. Elena checked the data. 4 months ago. "The signal has been traveling through space for 4 months to reach us. Then they might already be." Tommy could not finish the sentence. Elena stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see the lights of the city where millions of humans lived normal, safe lives. They went to work and came home to their families. They worried about Small things like bills and traffic. They had no idea that somewhere in the galaxy, an entire civilization had died screaming for help. "We have to tell someone," Dr. Wright said. "Is the government, the military, someone with power?" "Tell them what?" Elena asked. "That aliens are being murdered 1,200 light years away? What can Earth do about that?" But even as she said it, Elena knew the answer. Humanity had built ships that could travel faster than light. They had weapons that could crack moons in half. They had soldiers who trained for wars that might never come. Elena picked up her secure phone and dialed a number she had hoped never to use. It was a direct line to Admiral Sarah Chen at the Terran Defense Force headquarters. "Admiral Chen's office," a voice answered. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez at the Sol Communication Array. I need to speak to the Admiral immediately. It's about first contact." There was a pause. "Please hold." Lena waited, still staring out the window at the peaceful Earth night. Soon, very soon, everything would change. Humanity was about to learn they were not alone in the universe. They were about to learn that the universe was a much darker place than they had imagined. The phone clicked. "Dr. Vasquez. This is Admiral Chen. Talk to me." Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the emergency meeting room at Terran Defense Force headquarters. Around the table sat the most powerful people on Earth, the President of the United Nations, the heads of the major space agencies, and military leaders from every continent. It all rushed here after hearing Dr. Vasquez's message. "Let me understand this correctly," said President Martinez. "Aliens sent us a distress call. They are being wiped out by other aliens, and they are asking for help." "That's right, sir," Admiral Chen replied. She pressed a button, and the decoded message appeared on the wall screen. "The Kailari civilization has been attacked by something called the Dominion Fleet. Based on the signal timing, this happened 4 months ago." General Roberts from the European Defense Union leaned forward. "How do we know this is real? This could be some kind of test or trick." Dr. Vasquez, who had been invited to the meeting, spoke up. "Mathematical complexity of the signal is beyond anything we could fake. The physics data they included about their attackers is accurate. This is real." "Even if it's real," said Director Kim from the Asian Space Coalition, "what can we do? They are over 1,000 light years away. By the time we get there, everyone will be dead." Admiral Chen had been thinking about this all night. She walked to the star map on the wall and pointed to the Kepler 442 system. "Our fastest ships can make the journey in 6 weeks using maximum hyperspace acceleration. Yes, we might be too late, but we might not be." "This is insane," said General Roberts. "We would be risking our best ships and crews for people we have never met, people who might already be extinct, people who ask for our help," Admiral Chen said quietly. The room fell silent. Everyone had read the Kailari message. Everyone had seen the personal recordings from families saying goodbye to each other. It was impossible to read those words and not feel something. President Martinez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, normal life continued. People drove to work, children played in parks, and nobody knew that humanity had just learned they were not alone in the universe. "What kind of threat does this Dominion pose to Earth?" the President asked. Admiral Chen pulled up another screen. "According to the Kailari data, the Dominion has destroyed 47 civilizations over the past 300 years. They move from system to system, taking resources and slaves. They have never been stopped. But they don't know about Earth yet," said Director Kim. "No," Admiral Chen agreed. "But if they keep expanding, they will find us eventually. The Kailari signal shows their technology is advanced, but not beyond our abilities. Their ships are big and powerful, but they rely on fear more than skill." General Roberts shook his head. "You're talking about starting a war with an alien empire. We don't know how many ships they have or how strong they are. We know they are bullies, Admiral," Chen said. "The Kailari message shows that the Dominion has never faced real resistance. Every species they attacked was peaceful and unprepared. They have never fought someone who fights back." Dr. Vasquez cleared her throat. "There's something else. Kailari weren't the only ones who sent distress calls. When I analyzed their data more carefully, I found references to signals from other dying civilizations. The Dominion has been doing this for a long time. The weight of that statement settled. Over the room, dozens of species had died screaming for help, and no one had answered. President Martinez turned back to the group. Admiral Chen, what exactly are you proposing? I want to send a rescue fleet to Kepler 442, 12 ships, including the TDF Indomitable. Full military complement plus medical and humanitarian supplies. If the Kylari are still alive, we help. Then if the Dominion is still there, we show them that someone finally fights back. The Global Defense Council will never approve this, said Director Kim. Too risky, too expensive, too dangerous. Admiral Chen smiled grimly. Then we don't ask them. Everyone stared at her. General Roberts looked shocked. You're talking about launching an unauthorized military operation? I'm talking about a deep space exploration mission that happens to be heavily armed, Admiral. Chen replied. The TDF has authority to investigate potential threats to Earth's security. I'd say an aggressive alien empire qualifies. President Martinez was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, who would lead this mission? Captain Marcus Rodriguez. He's our best ship commander, and he has experience with first contact protocols. His crew on the Indomitable is handpicked and completely loyal. What if you're wrong? Asked Director Kim. What if this gets Earth noticed by hostile aliens? What if you start a war we can't win? Admiral Chen looked around the room at all the worried faces. She understood their fear. But she also understood something else. 3 days ago, we thought we were alone in the universe, she said. Now we know we're not. We know there are good people out there being hurt by bad people. Can sit here and debate and worry about ourselves, or we can do what humans have always done when someone needs help. What's that? President Martinez asked. We can help them. The president was quiet for another minute, then he nodded slowly. How soon can your ships be ready? 6 hours, Admiral Chen said immediately. Then go. But Admiral, this conversation never happened, if anyone asks. You detected a potential threat during routine deep space patrol and decided to investigate. Admiral Chen saluted. Understood, sir? Gas, the meeting broke up. Dr. Vasquez approached the Admiral. Do you really think you can save them? Admiral Chen looked at the star map one more time. Somewhere out there, in the cold darkness between stars, people were suffering and dying. They had asked for help, never expecting anyone to come. I don't know, she said honestly, but we're going to try. That's what humans do. 2 hours later, Captain Rodriguez received his orders. 6 hours after that, 13 ships of the Terran Defense Force entered hyperspace on humanity's first interstellar rescue mission. None of them knew they were about to change the galaxy forever. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the TDF Indomitable as the ship dropped out of hyperspace. Round him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. After 6 weeks of travel, they had finally reached the Kepler 442. System status report, Rodriguez ordered. Lieutenant Sarah Kim looked up from her sensor station. Her face was pale. Sir, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Multiple large ships in orbit around the inhabited worlds. Rodriguez walked over to look at her screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. 3 planets that should have been blue and green were now brown and black. Smoke clouds covered there. Surfaces and space around them, huge dark ships moved in slow patrol patterns. Are those the Dominion ships, he asked. Yes, sir. I count 18 vessels. They're enormous, each one at least twice the size of our biggest ships. Ah! Navigation Officer Torres spoke up from his station. Captain, I'm picking up smaller signals. 2, they look like debris fields and damaged structures. Some of them are moving. Moving debris? Rodriguez asked. No, sir. I think they're survivors. Small ships and space stations trying to hide in the asteroid belts. Rodriguez felt a mix of relief and anger. Relief that some Kylari had survived the attack. Anger at what he was seeing on those dead worlds below. Communications, scan for any signals from the survivors, he ordered. Ensign Park worked at her station for several minutes. Then she looked up with excitement. Sir, I'm getting weak transmissions from multiple sources, using the same mathematical patterns as the original distress call. Can you decode them? Working on it now, sir? Burke's fingers flew over her controls. After a few minutes, text appeared on the main screen. It's definitely Kylari's signals. They're hiding in asteroid fields and damaged orbital stations. They're still asking for help. Rodriguez studied the tactical display. 18 massive enemy ships controlled the space around 3 dead worlds. Hidden among the asteroids and debris, small groups of survivors tried to stay alive. It looked hopeless. Sir, Lieutenant Kim said quietly, one of the Dominion ships is changing course. There. Heading our way, Rodriguez looked at the display. A huge dark vessel was turning toward the human fleet. It was shaped like a giant knife, all sharp angles and weapon ports. As it moved closer, more Dominion ships began to follow it. They've seen us, Rodriguez said. All ships maintain formation. Weapon systems online, but do not target anything. Yet, his tactical officer, Commander Jackson, looked worried. Sir, that lead ship is 3 times bigger than anything we've ever built. If they want to fight, then we'll give them one, Rodriguez said calmly. But let's see what they want first. The Dominion ship stopped about 50,000 kilometers away. The other vessels formed a loose circle around the human fleet. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then Ensign Park spoke up. Double quotes, sir. We're receiving a transmission. It's in standard galactic trade language. Put it on speaker. A harsh, grinding voice filled the bridge. It spoke in broken English that was clearly translated by computer, unknown vessels. You will identify yourselves. This system belongs to the Dominion fleet. You are not welcome here. Rodriguez walked to the communications station. This is Captain Marcus Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. We received a distress call from this system and came to provide assistance. There was a long pause, and harsh laughter echoed through the bridge speakers. Terran, we do not know. This word, are you here to help the Crystal Singers? Rodriguez realized the alien was talking about the Kylari. Yes, we came to help them. More laughter. The Crystal Singers are broken. Their worlds burn, and their ships are scrap metal. There is nothing left to help. You will leave this place now. I don't think so, Rodriguez said. The laughter stopped. You refuse our command? I refuse your command. There was another long silence. Then the alien voice returned, colder now. I am Fleet Admiral Vexstar of the Dominion. We have conquered 47 species across this galaxy. We have burned their worlds and taken their people. No one has ever challenged us. You are small and weak. You will surrender your ships, or we will destroy you. Rodriguez looked around his bridge at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready. He thought about the Kylari families who had sent those desperate messages. He thought about 47 dead civilizations that no one had tried to save. Fleet Admiral Vexstar, he said slowly. My name is Captain Marcus Rodriguez. Represent the human race. We received the distress call from the Kylari people 4 months ago. We traveled over 1,200 light years to get here. And now that we're here, I have a message for you. What message? Rodriguez walked to the center of his bridge. Around him, his crew prepared for what they all knew was coming. In the asteroid. Field's Kylari survivors listened to transmissions they could barely understand. And in the dark ships surrounding them, alien conquerors waited to hear what these strange newcomers would say. This is the Terran Defense Force, Rodriguez said, his voice carrying across space to 18 enemy ships and dozens of hidden refugee stations. You will cease all hostile activities in this system immediately. You will release any prisoners you have taken, and you will withdraw your forces beyond the edge of this star system within 1 hour. The silence that followed was complete. Even the background hum of the ship's engines seemed to stop. Everyone waited. Finally, Fleet Admiral Vexstar spoke again. His voice was filled with disbelief and amusement. You give commands to the Dominion fleet? You demand that we retreat? Little human captain, you do not understand what you face? Our death itself. We are the end of hope. Rodriguez smiled grimly. No, Admiral Vexstar. You're the ones who don't understand. He nodded to Commander Jackson. All ships drop stealth systems. Show them what they're really facing. Across the human fleet, cloaking devices shut down. What had appeared to be 13 small ships suddenly revealed themselves as heavily armed warships bristling with weapons and defensive systems. Missile pods that had been hidden behind stealth fields came online. Fighter bays that had been invisible opened their doors. You've been conquering peaceful species for 300 years, Rodriguez continued. You've never fought anyone who was ready for you. Well, Admiral, today that changes. This is humanity's answer to your ultimatum. Rodriguez looked at his weapons officer and gave a small nod. Fire. The first missiles hit the Dominion flagship before Fleet Admiral Vexstar could finish his next insult. Explosions blossomed along the massive ship's hull as human weapons found their targets. The bridge of the TDF Indomitable shook his enemy. Fire began to return. Direct hit on the flagship's weapon systems, Lieutenant Kim reported. Their main guns are damaged. Captain Rodriguez gripped his command chair as the ship rolled under enemy fire. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Focus fire on their command vessels. Around the Indomitable, 12 other human ships moved like wolves hunting a herd. They were much smaller than the Dominion vessels, but they moved faster and hit harder. Years of training and preparation had made them into a perfect fighting. Force Commander Jackson studied his tactical display. Sir, the enemy ships are huge, but they're slow. Their weapons are powerful, but they can't aim very well. They're built to scare enemies, not fight them. Rodriguez nodded. The Dominion had spent centuries conquering peaceful species who surrendered quickly. They had never learned how to fight a real war. Launch fighters, Rodriguez ordered. Target their sensor arrays and communication systems. 50 small fighter craft shot out of the human ships. They moved like angry bees, too fast for the big Dominion guns to track. Pilot Commander Lisa Zhang led the attack, her fighter dancing between laser blasts as she lined up her target. Fox Squadron, this is lead, she called over the radio. Hit those sensor domes on the big ships. Make them blind. The fighters swarmed over the nearest Dominion vessel. Their missiles were small, but precise, destroying the sensitive equipment that let the enemy ships see and talk to each other. Within minutes, the massive warship was stumbling through space like a blind giant on the bridge of his flagship. Fleet Admiral Vexstar watched in growing panic as his perfect formation fell apart. 3 of his ships had already lost their main weapons. His fighters could not catch the quick human craft. And somehow, these tiny human ships were hurting his massive fleet. How is this possible? He roared at his tactical officer. They are insects compared to us. Sir, they fight like nothing we have seen before. They work together. They know exactly where to hit us. Vexstar had conquered 47 species, but none of them had fought back like this. The Crystal Singers had begged for mercy. The Rockwalkers had hidden in caves. The Sky Dancers had simply given up. But these humans were different. They came here to fight, and they were good at it. All ships ramming speed, Vexstar ordered. Crush them with our size. 2 Dominion ships turned toward the human fleet, planning to use their massive bulk as weapons. But the humans were ready for that too. Enemy ships are moving to ram, Commander Jackson reported. Shall we evade? Rodriguez looked at his display. If they moved away, the Dominion ships would be free to attack the hidden Kylari survivors. He could not let that happen. Negative. All ships maintain position. Focus all firepower on the incoming vessels. Every human ship turned its weapons on the 2 charging Dominion ships. Missiles, laser cannons, and railguns poured fire into the advancing enemies. The first ship's shields collapsed under the assault. Explosions walked along its hull as human weapons found critical systems. But the second ship kept coming. It was heading straight for the Indomitable. Sir, collision in 30 seconds. Lieutenant Kim called out. We need to move now. Rodriguez watched the huge enemy ship growing larger on his screen. It was twice the size of his vessel and would crush them if it hit. But moving would break the formation and let other Dominion ships attack his fleet. All hands brace for impact, he ordered. Then he turned to his weapons officer. Fire everything we have at that ship. Everything. The Indomitable's weapons blazed as the enemy ship closed the distance. Missiles exploded against its hull. Laser beams cut through its armor. But it kept coming. In the asteroid fields, Kylari survivors watched the battle with amazement. They had never seen anything like it. These strange humans had come from across the galaxy to help them. They were actually winning against the mighty Dominion fleet. A young Kylari named Synthesis sang a message to her hidden companions. The new ones fight with honor. They do not run. They stand between us and death. On the Indomitable's bridge, the collision alarm was screaming. The Dominion ship filled their entire view screen. But at the last second, something wonderful happened. The enemy vessel's engine section exploded in a brilliant flash. The ship spun sideways, missing the Indomitable by less than 100 meters. Engine. "Kill!" Commander Jackson shouted. "The enemy ship is dead in space." Rodriguez smiled. His gunners had found the perfect target at the perfect moment, but the battle was far from over. 12 Dominion ships were still fighting, and they were getting angry. They had stopped trying to capture the humans and started trying to kill them. "Sir, the TDF Ranger is taking heavy damage," Lieutenant Kim reported. "Their shields are down to 20%. Rodriguez looked at the tactical display. His fleet was holding its own, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Every human ship was damaged. Several were badly hurt. Colonel Park prepared the Marines for boarding action. He ordered. Colonel David Park had been waiting for this command. His Marines were the best soldiers humanity had ever trained. They specialized in fighting in space, taking enemy ships from the inside. "Marines ready, sir? Which target?" Rodriguez studied the enemy formation. What Dominion ship was closer than the others? Its weapons were damaged and its shields were weak. But most importantly, it was the command ship for this section of the fleet, that cruiser at bearing 270. Take it intact if possible. Need to learn how they communicate with the rest of their fleet. Colonel Park saluted. "Understood." "Sir, Marines, mount up." 20 armored soldiers climbed into assault pods that would carry them through space to the enemy ship. As they launched, the rest of the human fleet provided covering fire. The assault pods were small and fast, designed to punch through enemy shields and deliver soldiers directly into hostile ships. The Dominion had never seen anything like them. "Are those small objects?" Vexter demanded as he watched the pods streak toward one of his ships. "Unknown, sir. They appear to be ... boarding craft." Vexter's blood ran cold. In 300 years of conquest, no one had ever dared to board a Dominion ship. The very idea was impossible. But these humans did impossible things. The assault pods crashed through the hull of the Dominion cruiser Own. Inside, Colonel Park and his Marines found themselves in a ship designed for giants. The corridors were huge and filled with strange alien technology. "Move fast," Park ordered his troops. "Find the bridge and take control of their communications." Behind them, the space battle continued. But now, humanity was fighting on two fronts, and they were winning. On both. Colonel David Park moved through the captured Dominion ship with his Marines. The alien corridors were massive and dark, built for creatures much larger than humans. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, and the air smelled like metal and decay. "Bridge located," reported Sergeant Williams over the radio. "2 levels up, heavily defended." Park checked his weapon. "Move in. Remember, we need their communication system intact." The Marines fought their way through the ship's corridors. The Dominion soldiers were big and strong, but they were not used to fighting inside their own vessels. They had never needed to defend against boarders before. The humans moved like ghosts through the ship, using their smaller size to hide and strike from unexpected places. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Rodriguez watched the space battle continue. His fleet had destroyed 4 Dominion ships, but 8 were still fighting. The human vessels were badly damaged. The TDF Ranger was running on emergency power. The TDF Falcon had lost half its weapons. "Sir, Colonel Park reports he has control of the enemy bridge," Lieutenant Kim announced. "He's accessing their communication system now." Rodriguez nodded. This was what they needed. If they could contact the other Dominion ships, maybe they could end this battle without destroying everything. Inside the captured ship, Colonel Park stood over the alien communication console. The Dominion bridge crew lay unconscious around him. His tech specialist, Corporal Martinez, worked frantically at the strange controls. "Got it, sir," Martinez said. "Can send messages to their whole fleet now." Park activated his radio. "Captain Rodriguez, We have control of enemy communications. What's your message? On the Indomitable, Rodriguez thought carefully. What could he say that would make these alien conquerors stop fighting? Then he remembered something from the Kailari distress. Signal. The Dominion had never faced real resistance before. They were bullies who were used to easy victories. Tell them this, Rodriguez said. The Dominion fleet has lost 4 ships and will lose more. Human forces are stronger than expected. Continued fighting will result in total fleet destruction. All Dominion vessels will withdraw immediately or face complete annihilation. Colonel Park smiled as he listened. Then he turned to Corporal Martinez. Send that message to every Dominion ship in the system. Make sure they know it's coming from their own command vessel. The message went out across Dominion communication channels. On every enemy ship, crews heard what sounded like their own commanders telling them to retreat. Confusion spread through the fleet as captains tried to understand what was happening. Fleet. Admiral Vexstar received the message on his damaged flagship. His command bridge was dark and filled with smoke from damaged systems. Half his weapons were destroyed and his shields were failing. That message came from the destroyer's edge, his communications officer reported. But sir, we cannot contact that ship. It's not responding to our calls. Vexstar realized the truth. Somehow, impossibly, the humans had captured one of his ships. In 300 years of conquest, no enemy had ever taken a Dominion vessel. The very idea was unthinkable. But these humans made unthinkable things happen. Sir, 3 more ships are reporting critical damage, his tactical officer said. The Thunder of Conquest has lost power to its main engines. The Death's Wind is venting atmosphere, and the Stellar Destroyer's weapon systems are completely offline. Vexstar looked at his tactical display. What had started as an easy battle against a small, weak enemy had become a disaster. His massive fleet was being torn apart by these tiny human ships. Sir, we're receiving another transmission from the humans, communications officer said. Rodriguez's voice filled the Dominion flagship's bridge. Fleet Admiral Vexstar, this is Captain Rodriguez. Your fleet is beaten. You have lost 4 ships, and several more are crippled. My Marines have captured the destroyer's edge and are preparing to take additional vessels. You have one choice. Surrender now and withdraw from this system, or watch your entire fleet burn. Vexstar's hands shook with rage. No one had ever spoken to him like this. No one had ever defeated the Dominion fleet. But as he looked around his ruined bridge, he knew the human was right. What about the Crystal Singers? Vexstar demanded. What about our slaves in our conquered worlds? You will release any prisoners. Immediately, Rodriguez replied. The Kailari survivors will rebuild their civilization under human protection. Your time here is over. In the asteroid fields, Kailari survivors listened to the conversation with wonder. A young engineer named Harmony sent a message to her hidden companions. The humans are not just fighting for themselves. They are fighting for us. They came across the galaxy to save strangers. On his flagship, Vexstar made the hardest decision of his life. His empire had conquered 47 species without losing a single battle. But today, that record was broken. All Dominion ships, he said into his communicator. Cease firing, release all prisoners. Prepare to withdraw from the system. Across the battle zone, the massive enemy ships began to pull back. The space battle that had raged for hours slowly came to an end. But Captain Rodriguez was not finished. Admiral? Vexstar, he said, I want you to send a message to every Dominion outpost and base in this part of the galaxy. Tell them what happened here today. Tell them that humanity has joined the fight against you. What message? Vexstar asked weakly. Rodriguez looked around his damaged bridge at his brave crew. They had traveled across the galaxy to help strangers, and had won an impossible victory. Tell them this, Rodriguez said. The age of Dominion conquest is over. Humanity has heard the cries for help from peaceful species. We have seen the destruction you cause. From now on, when you attack innocent people, you will face us. We are not afraid of you. We're not impressed by your size or your threats. We are humans, and we fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. 3 hours later, the last Dominion ship left the Kepler 442 system. Behind them, they left 3 damaged worlds and thousands of Kylar survivors. But they also left something else. They left the knowledge that they were no longer the strongest force in the galaxy, Captain. Rodriguez stood on his bridge and watched the enemy fleet disappear into hyperspace. Then he turned to Lieutenant Kim. "Open a channel to all Kylar survivors," he ordered. When the channel was open, Rodriguez spoke to people he had never met, but had traveled across the galaxy to save. "This is Captain Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. The Dominion ships have been driven away. You are safe now. We came because you asked for help, and we will stay until you no longer need us. Humanity has heard your voice in the darkness, and we have answered." In hidden stations throughout the asteroid fields, Kylar survivors wept with joy and sang songs of gratitude that echoed across space. Their impossible prayer for rescue had been answered by creatures they had never imagined. But this was only the beginning. As human ships began rescue operations, communications started arriving from other parts of the galaxy. 17 different species had detected the battle and were sending their own distress calls. The message was always the same: help us. The Dominion is coming. Rodriguez smiled as he read the messages. Humanity had come to save one species and discovered a galaxy full of people who needed help. It would be a long war, but they were ready. For it, after all, that's what humans do. When someone calls for help, humans answer.